Hello again, and welcome to Emergency Evacuation Planning, Lesson Number 3, Dealing with Obstacles and Barriers. Today's lesson is actually resulted from and is based on your input and feedback from the questions that you asked from Lesson Number 2. I want to thank all of you that submitted feedback and questions, as they were all very good questions and some really good feedback. Some of which we went back and we looked at and decided that it was better for us to make some changes to allow us to have a better opportunity to evacuate the church safely and accurately. One of the questions that you asked was about the confusion factor of quadrants 4, 5, 6, and 7, the way that we exited and the termination points at which we were going to end up at. Very good question. We actually took this back to some of our resource advocates for CMG and Homeland Security. After looking at the situation, we came up with a better approach for exiting those quadrants, and we're going to go through those with you today. Bear in mind, we're focusing once again on quadrants 4, 5, 6, and 7. Start with quadrant 4. If you remember, quadrant 4 was going to exit through the chapel and out through the back door. We're going to simulate this at this time. We've been given the signal to evacuate. Quadrant 4 by the quadrant leader comes through the chapel door here. And along with quadrant 5 at the same time, and you will be exiting through this door. You will then be proceeding through the calm barrier area, through this gate, over to these stairs. 2 single file lines going down the stairs. Be sure to hold your rails going down and proceed on to the soccer field. This will be for quadrants 4 and 5. 4 and 5 only will take this exit route down these stairs and subsequently to the soccer field. Now then, let's look at quadrants 6 and 7. And this is where we have actually made a significant change in the way we're going to evacuate and where we're going to end up as our safe spots or our rally point. Quadrants 6 and 7. In the event that quadrants 6 and 7 have to be evacuated, the exit strategy is very much alike until we get outside. Quadrant 6 will come through the choir room and exit through the choir room door just as before. This will be this section of quadrant 6. The other quadrant area of quadrant 6 will exit through these double doors here out to the same area. So you have one quadrant area of quadrant 6 exiting through the choir room exit door, and the other section of quadrant 6 exiting through these double doors outside. Now then, quadrant 7, which is our last quadrant, will also exit out this door to the courtyard area as well. So you have quadrant 6, section 1, through the choir room door, quadrant 6, section 2, through these double doors, quadrant 7, exiting through this door, or through these 2 doors, depending upon the nature of the evacuation. Now, here's where the change is once we get outside. Follow me. For quadrant 6 and 7, the quadrant leaders, once they start exiting this strategy here, they will not go to the back down into the soccer field. because of the congestion that's going to be in this particular area right here. We have a great number of people who sit back in quadrants 6 and 7. So the exit strategy for quadrant 6 and 7 will be this. We will assemble ourselves and we will exit our strategies down the walkways here. We've got several walkways here. Using single file, double space here. We've got a very large walkway here, and we will exit all the way down to the end of the walkway, and we will either exit out to the field across from the church, or we have the option to walk all the way down the hill to the back of the church. Once again, our quadrant leaders have got to focus on the nature of the evacuation, what's going on inside the church, what's happening out here with our first responders coming on site, and they will have to understand how to use their judgment and what's the most effective way to get down these aisles to the back of the church or out to the field there, okay? We believe that by dividing up quadrants 4 and 5, 6 and 7 to different exit strategies, that we have relieved some of the pressure that could ensue by congestion in these particular areas. Another good question that we received in your feedback was question number 2. If the quadrant leader is directing the people out through the exit, who ensures they go to the rally point and stay there? Once again, a very good question. If you are an usher that is assigned to a quadrant leader and you are on assignment for that particular mass, that particular day, then the best advice that we can provide for you is to understand the people that are sitting in your quadrant. Number 1, strong people that may be sitting in your quadrant. Or there may be another quadrant leader who is sitting in your quadrant for that day, who is not on assignment. What you will need to do is to span your quadrant, find those people that you feel could assist you in the event that we have to evacuate the church, and tap on them to assist you in the event the emergency does happen and we do have to evacuate the church. It would be a matter of you tapping that person and saying, I need for you to take these people out to our rally point, keep them there as long as you can. To have 2 or 3 people to assist you, that would be great. The important thing is for you as a quadrant leader at that particular mass to understand completely every exit strategy in the church at that time, exactly who is sitting in your quadrant that could assist you, and in answering to another question, who also is sitting in that quadrant that would need assistance in getting out. Perhaps someone who has to use a walker, or someone with a cane, or someone with a limp, or someone who's just slow in being able to walk. Those are all things that you have to go through, digest, and understand as a quadrant leader for any mass that you're assigned to be a quadrant leader. The next area of concern I wanted to address was folks who are in wheelchairs and our special needs folks. Majority of our wheelchair folks always sit at quadrant 3. Okay, that's that designated area for wheelchair folks. And also a great number of our special needs folks also sit in quadrant 6, this section 2 here, because it's an easy quadrant for them to get in and out of the church on Sunday. As a quadrant leader, especially if you're assigned to quadrant 3 on any given Mass Sunday, you need to make sure you understand who is here that Sunday in a wheelchair, who you have in your quadrant or other quadrants that you can ask to assist you in the event they need to exit. Understanding quadrant 3 exit strategy is the same as always. Have those elements in your hip pocket so that in the event that we do have an emergency and we have to evacuate, you have established yourself help and understanding of where those people are with special needs and the people with wheelchairs. The next area I want to address is an area called family members sitting in different quadrants. And we do have that. The example that I want to share with you today is the choir. We have a number of people in our choir who have other family members or loved ones who sit in different quadrants in the church. As a quadrant leader of Quadrant 1, if you are assigned Quadrant 1, which includes the choir, it is important that you demonstrate to them the knowledge that they do not need to worry about other family members. Those family members will be taken care of by those quadrant leaders. Folks in the choir are to use the same exit strategy as everyone else in Quadrant 1 and listen to your Quadrant 1 leader. Do not worry about family members in other quadrants because those family members will be taken care of by the quadrant leaders for those quadrants. And in addition to that, if you have a special needs loved one who's sitting in another quadrant, not to fear, those will be identified and taken care of by those quadrant leaders. The next item we want to address is how to handle panic. Panic is just one of those phenomena as a human being that it happens. Anytime we get into a stressful situation or an emergency situation, panic is just it's a human phenomenon. The best way that you can handle panic or to keep panic subsided as much as possible is you, as a quadrant leader, have got to demonstrate the confidence that you have and the ability that you have to help the individuals in that quadrant to use exit strategy and to exit this church as safe as possible. You are the key. You as the confident, you as the quadrant leader, and the way you demonstrate your confidence and your ability to do your job is the best way to subside panic. Just a few more notes that I'd like to go over in today's lesson of dealing with obstacles and barriers. In your role as the event coordinator and as a quadrant leader, it is important and imperative to know and to understand that you have to interact with each other. The event coordinator has got to interact with the quadrant leaders and vice versa. In order for us to have a seamless operation, we all have to be on the same page, the same songbook, and the same hymn in the event that we have to emergency evacuate this church. It's up to us as the leaders of this church to understand those needs and to be ready and willing and able as quadrant leaders and event coordinators to execute this in a timely and reasonable fashion. One other note I would like to make, I am hoping that by the end of this week, I will have all quadrant leaders and event coordinator leader assignments made for all 3 English Masses. I know it's taken some time, but we had to go through some challenges, and you know, this is one of those assignments and volunteer jobs that you have to really think about before you're willing to take it. It's a very serious commitment. However, it is a very extremely important ministry. Once again, I want to thank you for being with us today. And also, if you have any questions or feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you again, and have a most blessed day.